Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another special episode of the Degenerate Disseminators podcast coming at you on a Friday. I'm your host, Jordan, and we do have Daniel with us today.
Hey guys.
So, the reason why today is special, guys, is because we are doing yet another playoff preview, but this time for the NHL. Um, the NBA playoff preview is very fun to make, so very excited to do this for another sport. And this time it is with Daniel, so even better. Yeah, so you guys haven't checked out the the NBA playoff preview, go ahead and check it out as those games do start on Saturday officially with the actual playoffs. That is the end of the play-in tournament. Before we hop into things today, per usual, if you guys aren't following us on our socials at DD Sports Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, please do so. A lot of fun stuff on there, and those links are down below. If you guys haven't checked out Pikkit already, highly recommend you do so. Link to that sign up is down below as well. You get you guys some free money. Before we start looking at the NHL preview as well, we only had one bet on yesterday's episode, and that was Corey Connors to win the RBC Heritage Tournament. Today wrapped up day one. Let me paint a picture for you guys. So,
Oh boy.
I sleep in a little bit. I work late. We record this late. I'm up late. Corey Connors had a little late morning tea time to start the tournament. So I wake up and I was like, oh, Corey Connors is out there. Let me see how he's doing. Grab the TV remote, turn it on. Corey Connors is up to tee, and I'm like, oh, sick, perfect timing. Right into the sand. And I was like, I feel like this is some foreshadowing about how my day is going to go. He finishes today one under par. I don't even know, I think he's like tied for like 30 something. But, it is the first day of the tournament, so we'll see. I might try and hedge this. I'm going to wait until tomorrow, though, to see if we have any like huge front runners. Um, Justin Thomas does lead this tournament. He golfed great today, 10 under par, insane. 11 birdies and three 30-foot putts. Um, yeah, just insanity. I don't think he can keep it up tomorrow though, so hopefully he doesn't. And Corey Connors can crack the top 15, top 10, and come back into the winning picture here. But yeah, nothing to recap except that. So yeah, without further ado, Daniel, I'm gonna let you take control here. You're the NHL guy on this show, and do your thing, man.
All right. So coming in hot. We're starting off with the West here. Obviously, this is a kind of a perspective look at the round one of the NHL playoffs. We got the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. Now, this matchup sees the President Trophy winning team versus a wild card spot. To be completely honest with you, the Jets have been pretty abysmal in the playoffs in recent years. Even if they have an absolutely phenomenal regular season, the playoffs are a different type of hockey altogether. The Blues, while they've won the Cup in recent history, specifically in 2019, have also been pretty bad when it comes to playoff time. After their Cup winning year, they ended up being in a playoff slump, losing twice in the first round and once in the second round, then not even making it to the playoffs in the last 2 years. I think that while the Jets have been complete fucking ass the last few playoffs, they have the best chance at winning this matchup. In the regular season, they've performed perfectly, and I think that this year they'll find some success, especially with a team like the Blues, which have not been consistent at all when it comes to making the playoffs. Seeing an upset here would be pretty cool, but the Jets seemingly have the odds in their favor this time around. And another fact is that while the Blues beat the Jets in 2019, I don't think that the Jets are going to want to relive this season and are going to be much more adamant about winning this season. Jets in 6 or 7. What do you think, Jordan?
I agree mostly with what you say. I feel like this matchup is even more interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Blues close out the season like the hottest team in the NHL?
This is true. The
Yeah.
thing is, though, is that the regular season is really not like at all what
No, I
happens in the
agree completely with
playoffs.
that. It still is very interesting to look at. I mean, I did say the same thing in regards to the NBA.
Yeah,
Pretty much this is the part of the season where we throw everything we've been doing out the window and pretty much, start fresh. But
exactly.
given that fact, I still think it is going to be an interesting series to see. I could see the Blues picking up a couple games, but ultimately, I think the Jets do have what it takes to make it out of this first round.
There you go. Yep, pretty much. All right. So, with that in mind, we're moving on to matchup number two: Dallas Stars versus Colorado Avalanche. These teams have gone at it in the playoff series twice, once in 2019 and once last year in 2024. The Avalanche have not beaten the Stars in a playoff series since 2006, and I think personally that this year will play out similarly. Even though the Avs have been really solid in the last few years with their regular season and their playoff appearances, the Stars, oh, also winning the Stanley Cup in 2022, I think the Stars are way deeper of a team as well as a lot more hungry for that cup than the Avalanche. The Avalanche already have won it, but I mean, obviously, have not had that great of a success going back to that final since. So, um, I don't know. With their experience playing against the Avalanche team, I think they'll beat them once again to move on to the second round. Stars in 6. What do you think, Jordan?
I agree. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure I told you like pretty early on in the season, like I like the Stars to win the cup this year. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're
Obviously,
one of
yeah,
my picks personally,
yeah,
which we'll talk about after this, to win the cup, honestly, because they've just been so solid in the playoffs these last few years, but obviously have been just kind of getting shit on by some other teams from the West.
yeah.
So,
I feel like the Avalanche are a very up and down team, and it's not even just this season. Like we saw a lot of weird games last year where they beat a team 8-0 and then lose 8-0 the next day. They're very up and
exactly.
down,
I
but
mean, their Jets, their series against the Jets last season was pretty insane, man. They were letting in like 6 goals a game, and they somehow won that series.
yeah, but I think the Stars are just. I think obviously we have to go with the more consistent team here. And that is the
Yeah,
Stars.
pretty much, man.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
Blackwood is on the Avalanche now, right? Or do I have that wrong?
Yeah, so they have like a pretty
Yeah,
solid goalie at this point. I still don't think that their defense is really up to the task.
yeah,
Well, not necessarily that their defense is. I don't think their offense is up to the task with dealing with Dallas. Dallas's defense and their goaltending have been pretty stellar this
yeah,
season and the last few seasons as well. And we saw it last season in their playoff match against the Avalanche, in which they beat them in 6. And I think the same thing happens, honestly.
yeah.
All right. So, moving on. Playoff match number 3, we got the Golden Knights versus the Wild. Not much to say here for me, honestly. I think the Golden Knights win it in 5 or less. The Wild are a team built entirely out of their offense, with their highest plus minus player stat this season, Kirill Kaprizov with plus 19, which isn't even really top 40 in the league right now. The Wild have not been past the first round since 2015, while the Golden Knights have made it to the second round twice and made it to the Cup final twice and actually won the Stanley Cup in 2023. Sad year for us Panthers fan. Uh, the Wild's defense, I mean, especially this season, has not really all been there. And when facing a team full of Cup experience like the Knights, I don't think they're going to be able to handle their defense. And the Knights' offense is also pretty solid. So, Knights in 5. What do you think?
Um, I think it might be more than 5 games, but I do agree. We have put a lot of money on the Golden Knights this year, just because they play so fast pace. I
Yeah.
really think I do think, especially in a 7 game series, it's going to be very hard for Minnesota to keep up with them. And I do agree, definitely the more experienced team as they've made some pretty deep playoff runs in recent years. So maybe more than
Yeah.
5, but I do agree overall outcome the Golden Knights do take them down.
All right. Cool. So moving on, this is the final matchup of the West. We got the Kings versus the Oilers once again for the like 5th time. This, well, I wrote here, this is a cup matchup that has been seen many times over the last few years. The Kings are a team that have not made it out of the first round since their cup win in 2014, which is honestly a really big pattern you see here with cup winners. They'll win and then go into a slump right after for a few years. With this in mind, however, the Oilers have played them the majority of those times that they were in the playoffs and have been keeping the Kings from even smelling a cup final for 4 years. While I think the Kings are a great team and have been all season, it seems the Oilers just know basically how to tear them apart when it really matters. My heart wants to say the Kings because they've been pretty phenomenal this season, but my mind wants to go to the Oilers because of how consistent they've been against this team in the last 4 years. Um, yeah, so I think that the Oilers are going to win. It won't be as easy as it has been. Obviously, the Kings have gone to a game 7 with them once, and that was 4 years ago. Since then, I mean, it's basically been sweeps for the Oilers. I think they won it 4-1 the last 3 years or so. I think this is going to go to game 7. The Kings' record is as good as it's ever been, and they've had so much success this year. While I want them to win, the Oilers have just had more success in the playoffs. They made it to the Cup final last year against the Panthers. Fucking retarded. And after bringing the Panthers to the brink of defeat, lost the series in 7. I think they could become contenders this year as long as they can keep their long-standing tradition of beating the Kings alive. Oilers in 6. What do you think?
I do agree. I think I take preference over like this playoff history, but it is a little tricky because I feel like the Oilers were very streaky this year. They had some very low points in certain parts of the season. But the combo of Draisaitl and McDavid can never be underestimated. And I believe Draisaitl was the leading goal scorer this year, right? I think.
Continue speaking, but let me fact check
Okay,
that.
but if that is true, Draisaitl's more of an assist guy, so I think him having this new scoring ability that he just randomly decided to pop out with. Let's go, guys!
Is there?
Jordan knows hockey. Um, yeah, I do think this is a super tough series to call, but if we're just going based off the playoffs alone, disregarding the regular season, I do like the Oilers to win this one, and if we're seeing heavy minutes from McDavid and Draisaitl, they're always going to be a force to be reckoned with in the West.
All right. I definitely agree with that. Anyways, moving on. Our first matchup of the East, we got the Maple Leafs versus the Senators. The
One
Battle of
senator.
Ontario. One senator. It's just Brady. He's out there by himself. So the Battle of Ontario begins. These two Canadian teams have been pretty hot this season. Toronto has come up first in the Atlantic Division, securing home ice for this matchup. I think for them, it's imperative that they hold their emotions together. Last year, we saw them fall apart in their series against the Bruins. And if they can hold it together, I think they have a really good chance at not only this series, but even at a cup final or a conference final appearance. They have the offense, their defense is experienced, and their goaltending is better than it's ever been. Realistically, their only threat from the Senators will be Brady Tkachuk because that guy brings the fucking boom. Without him, the Senators do not have the physicality they need to beat a playoff experienced and highly offensively talented Leafs team that has home ice and, is through with losing the playoffs in the last 8 years. Maple Leafs in 5 or 6. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is just gonna come down to experience. When was the last Senators playoff appearance? I feel like it's been a few years for them.
Um, well, I was looking it up. I didn't write it down here, but I can pull that up. I think I
But it
have
has
the
been a few
stats.
seasons, correct?
Yeah, no, they haven't been in the playoffs. I think it's been like I want to say like fucking like 4 or 5 years since they've made it.
Yeah, if that is
Oh,
the
dude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 since they lost the conference finals in 2017.
so yeah, I mean, we did. The Senators actually were one of our cash cows this NHL season. Funnily enough, we did.
This is true.
We did better on a lot of their games, so I do want to see them succeed. But first playoff appearance in 7 years, and you're going against the top team in the Eastern Conference doesn't really bode
It's
well.
rough.
Yeah,
That's what you get for being a wild card team, though.
yeah, it happens to the best of them, but I do think the Leafs take this one pretty easily, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we have the Battle of Florida. Yet another rematch from last year's playoffs. The Panthers in 2024 beat the Lightning on their way to the Stanley Cup after having lost to them in 2022 and 2021. I think honestly that the tides of Florida's hockey scene has turned, and it's the Panthers' turn to make it to the finals a bunch of times. I think that the Lightning, while having a pretty phenomenal regular season and quite a lot of playoff experienced players, will lose to the Panthers once again this season. The Panthers' depth, I think, is better than it was last year. And while many defensive pieces have gone, the overall team systems and defensive attitude will win them this series once again. The end of the regular season for the Panthers was somewhat disastrous, with Ekblad being out for use of PEDs and Kachuk being out from an upper body injury since the Four Nations face-off, they're both cited to return to the playoffs, and especially for game one of this series, which I think will turn the tide in the Panthers' favor, as their star power forward and first-round draft pick defenseman will be X factors in this playoff series. Florida in 6 or 7. What do you think?
Yeah, I do lean slightly towards more towards 7 games. I think it's going to be a really tight series, but I do agree. Um, I mean, just looking at it, I mean, the Panthers have to be one of the top three depth deep squads in this playoffs. Especially with the addition of Brad Marchand.
Oh
They
yeah,
led like every round in hits last year. Super taxing series for anyone. I do think they wear the Lightning out and eventually get it done. But overall, I still think it's going to be a close series as Tampa has done some great things this year. But got to ride with the home team. Go Panthers.
oh yeah. We're definitely a little biased in this one, but I mean, just looking at last year, I think it's very likely that it happens again.
Yeah, and even
All right.
moving into this year from last year, this team's somehow gotten even better. So,
Yeah,
the
pretty
sky's the
much.
limit for this team.
Yeah, basically at this point. All right. So, with that in mind, we're moving on to Washington Capitals versus the Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, in my opinion, the most interesting matchup. From being swept 4-0 by the Rangers in 2024, the Capitals have quite literally risen from the dead, with Ovechkin reaching the 895 goal mark and being first in the East. The Capitals have everything going for them this playoff series. Their culture is right, their vibes are right, they are on fire. Only bad thing I can see about them is that, like the Kings and like, who did I mention earlier? I think it was the Jets. They have a tendency to, win the cup essentially, and then just lose a bunch of playoff series right after. They have not seen a round two since their Stanley Cup win in 2018. With that in mind, the Montreal Canadiens, an extreme underdog in this scenario, have not made it to the playoffs since 2021. And honestly, this team's changed quite a bit, adding some new pieces from draft picks and bringing in free agents from a lot of other teams. I think that they have the firepower necessary to make this matchup interesting, but in all honesty, I think the Capitals will win this series in 6 or less. They have much more experience and tenacity than this Canadiens team. So, yeah, basically 6, 5 or 6. What do you think?
I agree. Also, really quick, I want to correct myself. I did refer to the Maple Leafs as the best team in the Eastern Conference. I meant the Atlantic Division. My apologies. The Capitals are the best in
I,
the in the
I
East.
completely missed that.
Yeah, my fault, guys. But you know what I meant. But yeah, I think this is. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Capitals beatdown. I feel like all those teams that were kind of, fighting for that second wild card spot really aren't like that good, for being honest. So I feel like yeah, this is just an easy round for the Capitals in my opinion.
True. I don't know. My personal opinion, at least in the West, I think those teams are pretty solid. I mean, the Wild and the Canadians, I think to me, are like the same. They both have like pretty solid offense, but their defense kind of shit. The only difference is that Montembolt for the Canadians has been really fucking good this season. I
Yeah,
mean, that guy just phenomenal, honestly, for him. I think the only difference really is in their goaltending, but
yeah.
yeah, other than that,
But I also
it
did say
wraps
the
up.
same. Oh, where's you go?
No, no, I'm done.
Oh, I did say this in the NBA preview. I feel like Ovi is like LeBron of the NHL at the moment. How much time does he have left? He just broke the goals record. I don't think he wants to
He
go
said he's
out.
playing another he said
Oh,
he's not retiring
oh
yet.
God. Ugh.
Yeah,
Okay, well, still, regardless, they have the
he's getting
spot
old.
here. Yeah, they have the spot here. I see them, yeah, at least making it out of the first round while Ovi's still playing.
Yeah. All right. So, moving on, this is the final matchup of the first round. Um, Carolina Hurricanes versus New Jersey Devils. Very reminiscent of the Golden Knights versus Wild matchup, as the Hurricanes have been proven to have a very solid defensive core with a pretty solid amount of offensive power as well. The Devils are basically an all offense, no defense type of team. They have not been consistent in the playoffs at all, as in the last 10 years. They've only made it to the playoffs twice and have won a single round in 2023. The Hurricanes have been really consistent in the playoffs, though they have not even really smelt a cup final. They have consistently made it to the second and third rounds since 2019. With that in mind, I think the Canes make quick work of the Devils within 4 to 5 games. What do you think?
I 100%. This is probably like my most confident pick in this whole playoff lineup. Um, you guys listen to the show. The Hurricanes have won us a lot of bets, and the Devils have lost us a lot of bets. Not a fan
Yeah,
of this
pretty.
Devils team. They started out the season pretty hot. They went into a slump, and they kind of just coasted the rest of the season, in my opinion. While Carolina has been very consistent on both ends of the ice, and I think they just beat Jersey down. I would not be surprised if this is a sweep, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Also, another thing to note is that I'm pretty sure Jack Hughes is out, which is one of the Devils' like best offensive players. So, without him, their offense kind of just doesn't even really exist, and without any defense either, I think you know what happens essentially.
Yeah, I feel like for a team
But
like the Devils, that's all offense. Yeah, it can work against some teams, but not the Hurricanes,
well, if they
unfortunately.
were going up against the Canadians, it
Indeed.
would be really interesting
Yeah.
because the teams are basically like very similar, or like the Wild or something. But obviously, Wild are in the West. But yeah, that's pretty much it for at least the first round. Shall we move on?
Yeah. So actually, I know before we started recording, I said we have no odds for the futures bets because there were still games wrapping up, but we have them now. So if you wanna start throwing some stuff out there, I have the odds in front of me, so I can say what we're putting down.
All right. So as far as my futures bets go, I want to say let's take the Panthers. Obviously, with them going to the Cup final the last 2 years and winning once, it's pretty likely that they make it very far in the playoffs again. Like I said, I think I have them winning against the Lightning. And, whether they go up against the Maple Leafs or the Senators, I think they beat both of those teams in 7 games. So, I mean, that really only leaves it to basically a conference final, which will most likely be up against the Hurricanes, or the Capitals, which I still think they beat them. So, probably a solid season for them to come up and end up in the playoff or the Stanley Cup Finals once again. Um, who else did I have? The Oilers. Also, another team that made it to the finals last season. I think very similar to the way that the Panthers are or were at least last season. The Panthers obviously losing in 2023 against the Golden Knights after a pretty grueling playoff experience. Um, I think the Oilers are really hungry for this cup, and they're going to do just about anything that they can to get back into the position where they can win it. Obviously, they're going up against the Kings. I think they win that series. They beat the Stars last season, which is another team that I think they'll probably face up against. And then the Golden Knights are obviously really solid. I think that's going to be their biggest trouble if they end up running into them. But yeah, who else did I have?
The
I remember I
Stars. I
told
think
you
you, I
another
think you
team.
skipped over
The
the Stars.
Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, like I said, I think the Oilers will probably beat the Stars again if they meet them in a series. But I think that I think that they would meet in the conference finals. I think it's going to be a little different this year. The Stars are one of those teams that I mean have been through a lot of playoff series and a lot of disappointment after making it pretty far. If they go up against the Oilers, it's pretty honestly, in my opinion, 50-50 on those teams. The Stars are obviously not going to want to repeat the last year's conference finals and are going to, just like the Oilers, do whatever they can to get back to that position to win again. So, yeah, those are my 3 picks as of right now. Obviously, subject to change after the playoffs actually start, but we'll do a round 2 perspective later on, probably, right?
Yeah, just for the odds perspective, guys. So Florida Panthers actually have the best odds to win the cup. They are 6-1. Given they have the best odds, we're gonna put 1.5 units down on them. You guys can pick whoever you want, how much you want. It really depends because this money's gonna be tied up for about a month and a half if they make it that far. Um,
Pretty much.
yeah, the I almost said the Stoilers. The Stars and the Oilers both sit at 9-1, so we're obviously going to dial it back a little bit to try and hedge this for 1 unit apiece. So, um, if any three of these teams win, assuming obviously we're probably going to add more, but we'd be up probably about what, like 6-7 units. So I'll do some better
Yes.
math on that. But regardless, if any of these three teams win so far, we will be in the green, and especially if we add some more teams and make it a little more interesting, we can definitely make this profitable no matter the outcome. So should be fun to watch.
All right.
Um,
Well, that's pretty much all I have for playoff stuff at the moment.
Alrighty. There are some NBA playing games today. Obviously this was a little bit of a longer episode, so I didn't really, take the chance to look into them. I do have some leans, but I'm gonna make those plays official on Instagram tomorrow, so keep an eye out on that. We're currently 3-1 for playing games, so if we could win out these last two and go 5-1, that'll be pretty awesome as we head into some more long-term plays. Also keeping an eye out for series bets. Unfortunately, we don't have anything about how many games, like, over under for how many games the series is going to be. As far as the other bets for series, that's something I will talk to Daniel a little bit about, and we will definitely put those out once we get them. But yeah, if you have nothing else to add, Daniel, I think I'm good
No, pretty
on my
much
part.
done.
Alrighty,
Very
well,
sad the Blue Jackets didn't make it. That's it.
yeah,
That's all I.
yeah. But who knows? Maybe the Capitals will beat them so bad, and it'll make us feel good deep down.
Yeah, hopefully.
Alrighty, guys. Oddly enough, there is no recap tonight, guys. This doesn't happen too often. But like I said, just keep an eye out for plays on Instagram tomorrow for the NBA play-in. And I'm trying to think if there's anything on Saturday we'll have an episode about. I guess we'll see if we have any series bets. But that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. And we will see you in the next one.
Shout out to Federal.